So Ricky, apparently we made a mistake in our timing and our scheduling coordination here, and apparently we completely missed an episode. I don't know how that happened because I'm looking back at the calendar and I'm like, okay, I was sick then, but we wouldn't have recorded then. I Listen, guys, we made a mistake. We missed an episode. It's okay. We're sorry. Right now, there's not a crazy bunch amount of stuff going on in the hobby, anyways. But we always have great episodes and great conversations when there's like a month in between each episode. I don't know if you noticed that, Ricky, but I've noticed that before, and I'm very excited to dive into today's episode. But before we go anywhere, Ricky, good morning. How are you on this fine spring morning, at least here in Rhode Island?
Good morning. I'm good. Let's see what happens. Baseball season technically starts in 5 days. College playing the Dodgers out in Tokyo, so that's right around the corner. The best time of the year. Yeah. How you
I
doing?
I'm not a fan of this whole Japanese thing starting like 2 weeks before the actual season. Then they go back to spring training. I just
Yeah. We
start
can't
it like 5 days before the actual season starts and then just go into it. I think
can't
it's
start a regular season jet lagged.
give them a few days off. I mean, have them play on, I don't know, was it like the 28th or something the season actually starts? I don't know, have them play on the 24th, 25th, give them those extra days off, and then they can roll into their next series, on like the 29th or something. But I'm good. I'm good. I'm a little fired up right now because just self stupidity for missing the episode. Got a lot going on here at the shop, going through some things. Gotta go through some things as well. But very excited to talk about today's topics that we have lined up. Where do you want to start? Oh God.
Yeah, I was gonna say real quick. I noticed you've been buying a lot of collections here and there, so I'm sure sorting through that has taken up a lot of time.
So actually, this is not even on our little agenda here, but I'll just kind of talk about it real quick. Yeah, they take up a ton of time. And you don't realize how much time it takes. I mean, I'm sure some people might, but you don't really understand how much time it takes until you're deep in the trenches, you run out of supplies or something like that, or you just get distracted. And then you look back at it and it's like, oh, wow, I've only done that much, or there's still that much to do. But I mean, buying collections, in my opinion, are the best way to fund inventory for yourself. Whether you're a collector, whether you're trying to buy, whether you're trying to grade it, it's just because you can get the most amount of stuff at the cheapest price possible. If you just go out and buy that one card, or whatever, it's probably going to be extremely expensive. And the seller can go out and buy and sell that one card and make as much as they can, but that doesn't really always work. Sometimes they don't have the outlets, they don't care, or whatever. But I mean, I just think buying collections is super easy to be able to digest and just kind of, organize everything into their respective areas. I'm trying to have the most value boxes here in the state of Rhode Island for a card shop. I don't know where I'm currently at. I don't know if I'm like, there already or not, but that is my goal. I got to build to my Kia Cubbies to add 24 new value boxes, hopefully very, very
Yeah.
soon. Yeah, well, it won't be all at once. It'll probably be like, I don't know, 8 boxes, and then over time I'll be able to fill the gaps. But that is probably on my plan today. But yes, it does take up a lot of time. It does take up a lot of
Yeah,
time, and
'cause I just had like a big box full of just Pokemon and baseball cards, and I just transferred it to a 4-row, and it was probably I'd say about 2,500 to 3,000 cards, and that took me like 1.5 2 hours to sort. So
it takes time, and like it can be rewarding. It just what's the plan with the cards? Like a lot of people want to take the cards and go set up at a show. Some people, go sell on Whatnot, or they use it for their eBay inventory. Whatever the plan is, it doesn't matter what the plan is, but you got to have a plan in place because you can't just buy collections and do nothing with them. I
right,
mean,
right.
I mean, I do have part of a collection still in a tote because I just don't want to go into the tote, but there is a plan in place. My plan is to get to it hopefully this weekend, but I just need to take some time off from going through collections just so I can catch up on some inventory, catch up on some behind the scenes stuff here at the shop, some content, obviously. I added a new shelf. As you can see, this stuff is a little further down. because I had to add a shelf over there. So it's all is well, but there needs to be a plan in place. I think that's the biggest takeaway here from this little spontaneous segment, so to speak.
Yeah, I saw you even got some Hot Wheels in there.
I'm like, so the funny thing is I'll tell the story real quick. Guy messaged me on Facebook. He's like, I just bought a storage locker, and immediately I'm thinking 80s and 90s. I hear storage locker, and I'm like, I'm good. He's like, I got a bunch of cards. I don't collect. I just want to try to make some of the money back for the locker. I'm like, I'll take a look at anything if you want to bring it on by. I'm all set with 80s and 90s. Anything else, I'll take a look at. He's like, okay. He comes in. He lets me know that he's the guy. I'm like, oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, bring it in. I'd say 4% of it was 80s and 90s. Everything else was modern,
Okay.
recent. Like this was what, last month last month I bought this collection, and there was cards in there that were released in December. I don't know how they got in there, but like they were not sitting for months and years on end. Like there was 2024 like topped holiday in there. I'm like, wow, this is interesting. And there was even some of the recent 2023 select football that came out during the fall. There was a little bit of there was even some mosaic football, I believe, from this year that was in there. I'm like, what? So confused. But yeah, and then we, just kind of chatted about, and we were able to strike a deal. He came in super reasonable, and I'm like, okay, I like that number, but I would like to be here. And super simple, just two men having a conversation, and then we were able
There
to
you
get the
go.
deal done. It's that simple. Buying
Should be.
collections can be daunting at first because of the size of them, but again, have a plan and digest it at your own time.
Yeah, I always wonder like between collections like that or collection buying like big buyouts at shows
Mm-hmm.
of like display cards. I haven't really done that yet, so I haven't had to dive into that. But I've always wondered like what's the best way to dive into that.
Like buying it.
Like when someone's buying like 50 or whatever or 20, 30 cards at a show,
Mm-hmm.
are they gonna comp every single one? Are you just gonna go by averages? You're gonna take a percentage
Yes,
of the sticker and trust the seller or
every deal is definitely different. If I'm buying them, I first I'm going to look up like three cards just to see where your stickers are at. If your stickers are within the realm of relatively realist, if they're realistic, like, let's say you have 50, your sticker's like 55, but the average is 50. Like, okay, I get that. You have it for 80, but the last one's 75. Okay, I can trust the majority of your stickers. I'm still gonna look up like the super high end ones, or the more expensive ones, or maybe even something that I just don't see all too often. But if it's a card that like it's just like a base rookie 9 or whatever, I'm like, all right, you got a tag for 30, fine, whatever. I could care less about that. But it definitely takes some time to just do due diligence. I mean, no deal should be rushed, especially when you start getting into hundreds, maybe even to the thousands. You're starting to work with a dozen, 2 dozen cards, because getting screwed on one card could really destroy the profit margin for the whole deal. If you overpay for one card, it could really hinder the return on the whole deal. You should do it. You should buy some collections.
uh,
Like even just like a binder full. I mean, you just find some guy looking to sell a binder for like $200-300. You buy that, you poke a dozen out to get it graded, and then you could probably maybe make your money off of that. And then you got the rest of the other cards to do whatever with.
yeah, I gotta go through my binder. I haven't cherry picked which cards I want to send out for grading yet.
There was a show at a brewery, actually. Was it in Weymouth? I think it was in Weymouth. I could be very wrong. Somewhere over there, there was a show at a brewery. It was a TCG show, and I'm walking around, and there's some guys with Pokemon cards, and there's like a 2-row, 3-row, 4-row bin, and there was a guy with a 2-row, and I was just kind of going through it, anywhere from $3 to $10, and I'm like, "Would you sell the whole box?" He's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "All right, well, can we kind of come up with a percentage off of the number?" So at that point, at $3 to $10, I'm not comping those cards. If they're
Right.
$3 to $10, I could throw them in, for $3 to $10, and I'll probably be fine, or pluck a few out to get graded. I think that's the kind of the golden apple of buying collections, is you can really jump the profits through grading. Not with every card, not with every deal, But if you can just grade a few cards and they come back 10s and you can sell those, especially in this given Pokemon market, that's kind of where, the rewards, even if you break even on a couple other things, or, if a $5 card's actually 3, so be it. But he added it all up. Then he took 70%, and then it was like a weird number, so he rounded down a little bit. I'm like, listen,
Yeah,
I'm not going to argue.
easy.
Not going to argue. Let's go. We're done. So it's just like some are easier, some take a lot longer, but it just depends on what side of the table you are. If you're a vendor, you got to make sure you do your due diligence. If you're, walking the show floor, then you don't have as much leverage. But through being a nice person and having good conversation, and then just kind of chatting with the vendor, you might be able to get on their good side, and they might be able to give you 70% or 75, at the very least 80%, right? But it just all depends on what the numbers are and how the people are, going about the deal, really.
All right. Yeah, because I've been trying to look into, like, just getting cheap slabs just to start throwing on eBay just to get the Pokemon sales up, and the store. Well, I don't have an eBay store, but to get the eBay inventory up.
So so it's funny you said that. So I had a CGC submission come back, and it was all Pokemon. This is
Cool.
one of two, and I know you kind of mentioned about it. I meant to show you,
I was
but
gonna say, is that the one that Gold for dibs on?
yes, I can send you some stuff. So like this was one card. This is the worst card that came back. Charizard V-Star in 8. Now, first of all, I don't remember what the raw value of this card is. It could be $10. I mean, in this given market, it could be freaking 100 for all we know. But that was probably like the one dud. And then here's the promo. I mean, this card's going stupid crazy, but even an 8.5 that has a little bit of value. But what I really wanted to show you, oh no, just the regular. I think the Pokemon Center is so overrated. Is just all these guys came back as 9s. I mean, they're all worth less than, well, that one's actually not that bad. They're all worth less than $20 raw, and these all came back 9s. But the thing is I can put them in my 20 and under Pokemon graded bin, get it graded for whatever the price is. Let's say the Sizor card. Let's say that's a $4 card. I spend X, I got it probably for like, $3.75 at the end of the day. I spend $10 to get it graded. All right, now I'm into it for $12. I sell it for 17, 18, 19, make a few bucks, but the 20 and under slab bin's nice and fluffy. And if someone's looking for a cheap, affordable Pokemon card, there it is. You do that 100 times, and then you're doing not too bad. So it's all about rotating, and just even if it's cards that don't sell well raw or cheap raw, and they're only like $15 more in a 9 or $10 more in a 9, it could be worth it, because we look at the Pokemon market all the time. You see what the potential of those damn 10s are. It's almost worth it for that $100 risk. So
How much is I never graded with CGC. How much is this grading? How's the process?
So the process is super, super simple, I would think. Oh, I mean, let me not speak for it about the shop. If it's not through the shop, I'm not sure what the price is. I think it's like $13, maybe. I think 12, 13, maybe. And they're always updating the turnaround times online. So whether we check it today, we check it tomorrow, it could be different. They will update it, which is really nice. But
Oh, that's cool.
it's almost just like any other company. Send it out. You can follow the tracking process online. Well, we received it. It's in the grading process. It's in the encapsulating process, and it comes back. I think it's a lot simpler because there's a lot more transparency. Anytime I've had to call, and it's not because I'm an authorized dealer with them, I've had other people call too, well, from their experiences, that you get with their customer service within minutes. It's fantastic. You have a question, where's my order? What happened here? The shipping. Oh, I need to change this, my address. They will answer the phone within minutes. It's fantastic. And I mean, we're seeing a dramatic shift in, obviously, grading, which we'll definitely dive into. And I think CGC, I think I might have messaged you this. CGC, my opinion, I don't know if it has been, but it definitely is now clear cut number 2, without a doubt. And we're starting to see these companies, whether it's CGC or Beckett or Tag, even sell for more than PSA cards. Obviously, every card is going to be different and every situation is going to be different. But the fact that Tag comes out of nowhere into selling for more than PSA cards, I think shows
I,
you the shift of the community.
I'm kind of skeptical about that. I don't. I feel like
About tag or the
someone
sales?
uh and sales.
Okay.
Like how is it all of a sudden more like I feel like someone's inflating those numbers.
Honestly, probably. We
Like
will have no true idea. So I wanted to show you this real quick. I don't know how
yeah,
true this is, but
okay.
I still want to show it anyways because someone sent me this. So this is a screenshot of a tag report of a card. I
Okay.
want you to guess what this card's grade was. Now, keep in mind this is from AI, so they're doing the whole da 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 process.
9.
So again, I don't know how true this is, but I was told that this card came back at 5.5. So let's just assume it's real. Let's just assume this actually came back at 5.5 because it is off-centered and there is a surface ding on the back.
Oh, off center barely.
Barely.
That's on borderline perfect.
So AI obviously has its own standards and it's going to pick apart every little flaw. That's why when I was like a 5.5, I mean, there's like 2 flaws on this card at the very best. So just picture what a 10 is going to have to look like. PSA will 10 almost anything. The thing could be 70-30 and they're still going to 10 it. It could have a print line and they'll still 10 it. So let's just imagine what a 10 of this card would have to look like. 50-50, 50-50, zeros across the board in terms of defects. So you're actually buying a pseudo black label, a pseudo pristine, because you're buying a true perfect, the most perfect card you can find out there. Whereas with PSA, chances are there's probably something off with it because they do have a room for tolerance. And then at the end of the day, I mean, blind test, if you put a 9 and a 10 up to each other, chances are you're not going to be able to find the difference, in terms of what the error was that made one a 9 and one a 10. So I think I'm very interested with Tag's future. I feel like it's coming on super strong as of late, but I kind of hope that this was a 5.5. I really, really hope that's true. That's funny. But no,
Well,
I mean,
if that's a 5.5, that one ding had to be pretty significant because if that's the only thing bringing it down, stopping it from being a 10, then
it's insane, right?
there's zero for error.
Yeah, so I mean, definitely consider, grading with CGC to kind of circle back to that, just because the price point is, again, I know you have it, but unless someone has the PSA membership, which not everyone does, they can't access those cheap bulk grading prices. Which is kind of a turnoff because you have to pay X amount to have the cheapest prices. That kind of turns people off. CGC does have a paid membership too, but you don't need it to get some of these cheaper prices. And again, I think collectors like and love CGC. If people are going out there to buy, sell, and trade and flip them, then maybe not. But I just think from a
Mhm.
collecting standpoint, I mean, I'm selling CGC cards, without a problem compared to, PSA. Some people would still prefer PSA, but I ask them this question every time. Those people that are like, "Ooh, PSA, what does PSA do that is so much better than everybody else?" No one can answer the question. Nobody. Okay. Speaking of grading, we're still on to this. And if anyone's listening who can kind of chime in on that, what does PSA do specifically better? Please let me know down in the comments of this video. I'd love, love, love to know. Don't tell me resale value because that's not what PSA does. That's what the market, does. We can sit here and say SGC has black tuxedo looks. People like that. Beckett, they have subgrades. People like that. CGC, it has affordability and it has everything under one roof, whether you're grading cards, comics, VHSs, action figures, DVDs, doesn't matter. And it's all one universal, beautiful, beautiful black label, black and white label, I should say. So what does PSA do? Doesn't matter. Ricky, here's the report for February. I know we're 13 days into March. Blaring thing for me real quick. Beckett back in the negatives, which I'm going to definitely chime in on that. CGC plus 75% year over year. Those are kind of the big two points for me.
Yeah, PSA still in the positive. No, I think last month they were kind of negative.
And when you're grading 1,000,000 cards and you grade,
Right.
you know, 2,000
Yeah.
less,
Plus 75% year over year is crazy.
that's growth. I mean, imagine 75% year over year on anything. That's insane growth.
You think that's going to cool down after the Pokemon market cools down a little bit, or you think they're going to continue to grow?
See, for me, I want to see them get more into the sports stuff because right now they're super Pokemon and TCG heavy, with a decent presence in the sports market. I'd like to see that number grow with sports. Um, I I'm hoping. I mean, 75% is just unsustainable year over year, every single month. So,
Right.
this time, when we look at it for March, if it's at 20% or if it's at 10%, like I wouldn't be surprised in any way. So, I mean, there has to be some regression, in that number. But I think when the Pokemon market cools down, hopefully by then, maybe the sports side of it kind of picks up a little bit, which we can actually probably look at. Uh, so yeah, so for TCG and non-sport, they're up 62%. And then for sports, whoa, they're up 232%, Ricky. Holy smokes. So again, that just
That's
shows you insane growth.
yeah, but I mean that's like what, probably 15,000 to 42,000, give or take. No, a little more than that.
I have no idea how
Like
that whole
20K to
number work.
42. I
That
don't know.
sounds
But
about right.
yeah, that's still not that much, but it's definitely growing. Damn.
Yeah, and plus they were down 3% from last month too. So like I mean, again, there's a significant amount of course Beckett down. Let's see, Beckett down. Crazy, crazy. 4,000 SGC, TCG, and non-sport cards. What's your thoughts and opinions about SGC in non-sports?
Yeah, I had one SGC Pokemon card so far. I didn't just looked wrong
Yeah.
just because just like I'm used to SGC being sports, obviously, the
Mhm.
same way that I'm used to CGC being Pokemon. So sports look wrong in those slabs.
So I have an Alakazam SAR from 151 in a SGC 10, and I got it for a super great price. And I have it well below what a PSA 10 would do, and it still just doesn't sell. I've had someone offer to buy it at raw price, and I'm like, honestly, I might have to take that because it looks so weird. But again, when I'm
It
praising
does.
CGC for the black and the white uniformity of the label, SBC's got the black tuxedo borders all around. You would think that that would kind of make the color pop, but I think because the Pokemon cards are so shiny and holographic and beautiful as they are, they don't need the assistance of the tuxedo look that vintage sports cards do. Because
Right.
with vintage cards, the color is faded, they're, washing away where so the black will kind of help make the blues and the yellows and the reds pop a lot more, whereas they don't Pokemon cards, they don't need that because they're so new as it is. But 4,000 is a crazy low number, Ricky. I mean, that
Yeah.
is a crazy, crazy low number.
Yeah.
Wow. Like
For them to have any impact on the Pokemon market, I feel like they'd have to change their look, and they're not going to change their look.
I think the best grading companies just have the uniform look for everything, and I think that's why CGC has gone so popular within the last year and a half from when they did change everything to the one label, is because you could send in a submission of sports, Pokemon, you throw some Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon, One Piece, doesn't matter what you throw in there, you could send it all in, and it's all going to have the same label. And I think that's really appealing because a lot of collectors will collect a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Oh, I used to
Mhm.
like that, so let me, have something there. And if I mean, I agree. The only way SGC would be able to is if they kind of change their label, but they're not going to because I can't get over 4,000. Here's the items graded. Here's the items graded by month. PSA is obviously way up there. Here's a closer look at the other three. We can see consistently that CGC has been above SGC for the last, what does this go? A handful of months, January 2022. I didn't think it was that long. With a little bit of here and there. What happened here? There's just no data right here. Interesting. They kind of missed it. Anyways, ever since they changed the labels, which was around that June, July-ish, they've been pretty much consistently ahead with a little bit of a dip here, and then it's just been smooth sailing ever since. So, I mean, like I said earlier, CGC has kind of solidified themselves as the number 2, and that's kind of shocking. You say that 4 years ago, people would be like, "What? Who?"
Right. I remember one of like the first couple trade nights that I've been at your place. I had some CGC sports cards. That's the last time I had some CGC sports. But
I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't a fan when it was CSG with the green and the white label. I'm like, ugh, yuck. And then they switched to the black and the gold basic label for sports, and I didn't mind that. That actually looked kind of clean. And then they got rid of that and put everything under CGC, and now it's the label that we know. So they have definitely made strides and changed and got a lot better. So that's obviously great to see from them. But that is the grading report for February. We talked about CGC buying collections, grading collections. We talked about tag a little bit. But before we go any further, I mentioned this off camera before we started recording. I have some cards from Beckett because here at the shop we do work with Beckett. I had 11 cards come back. These 6 had issues. Murph, what are issues? Well, let me tell you these issues. Okay, so I already showed you off camera, Ricky, but I'll show the fine people. This was the best card that came back that had a quote-unquote issue. Again, it's not the worst, but like you said, Ricky, off camera, this would bother the crap out of me.
Yeah, just knowing it's that would bother the hell out of me.
So let me grab what a normal one looks like. This is what a normal one looks like. That is how it's. So remember, this is how it's supposed to look like. Look at that Genesis Wemby 9.5. Isn't that beautiful?
That's nice.
Yeah, so you can see the nice Beckett logo. The thing's perfectly straight. I mean, this is kind of like elementary if people been grading and they've graded with Beckett, but some people haven't. So we got to cater to everybody. Again, that's that's the problem. Not the worst case in the world. You can deal with it. I don't even know where to start. Let me show. Let's showcase this one because this one's kind of funny. There's this label, dislodged. You can see gap right there. Yep, Ricky. When I say it gets worse, I promise you. So not the worst. This isn't the worst thing in the world, but it's definitely like, oh, dude, come on. Like it would bother the crap out of me. I would be calling Beckett up, which I did, and I'm not pleased with their response. So let me ask you this real quick before I go any further. If you're grading and you have an issue, I guess it's kind of a loaded question. How do you go about it? Like me, I sent an email to my rep with Beckett. I was very, 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 very unhappy. However, a lot of people don't have a rep with a grading company, and PSA is so hard to get with when it comes to their customer service. So let me just ask you, if this was PSA, how would you or other people go about trying to get in contact with them to fix a potential label issue? Like say they spelled the label wrong or the label's upside down or whatever. With a cat going off the wall?
I was saying my cats are messing around, but no, I mean probably go the traditional route. You have to call. Hold on.
Well, Ricky's going to go handle his cats. They're doing some mischievous activity there. If we had a commercial, this would be a great time to go to commercial. I'm just kidding. Well, welcome back. Welcome back.
No, I mean, probably go the traditional route. You got to call, blow up their phones, email them, send them, show them evidence in the emails.
How exhausting. Have you had to do that before?
Luckily not. Knock on all all the wood in the world.
So I'll kind of plug the shop's grading here is if people grade through the shop, they don't have to worry about anything. I take care of all the legwork because it goes through the shop, and then therefore, they reach out to me if there's an issue. I reach out to them if there's an issue. The grading company, not the actual customer.
Uh-huh.
That's very appealing. I do all the legwork. Customers just have to pay for the card, literally. So, but a lot of people have probably been in that situation. Got to call them up, got to wait. They get no answer, and then they got to get transferred. Then they're on hold still, and it's just a pain in the absolute butt, Ricky. Here's another one. Bang.
Oh, that's terrible.
Dude, it gets worse. I'm telling you, it gets absolutely worse. And this is a beautiful card too. I'm gonna crack it, so I could care less how this looks. Even if the label is fine, I'm probably still cracking it, but absolutely awful. Absolutely awful. All right. Here's this one. Keep in mind, the logo is right there on the back. So you should be able to see the logo on this side. So if they put the logo on that side, I think we'd be fine.
That's crazy.
And then the last one, same thing. This is a Genesis LeBron. Same thing.
That's
I'm fuming. I'm going to read you my email to my sales rep and their response because I think it's definitely noteworthy. I also had this card come back from Beckett. Authentic. But it's been
authentic.
it's been altered. Got this little note on the back here from them. I think it's some juice, Ricky. Because I look at the back of this card and some portions where they have circled. Well, can I get it straight? There we go. Look discolored compared to the rest. So it's going to be almost impossible to kind of show it through here. What is it? It's all four corners. Literally all four corners of the card were circled by the grader, and all four corners of the card look slightly darker gray than what the rest of the card should look like. And then they also said this whole left side here, again, it's going to be super hard to kind of tell. But I'm definitely going to post about this on social media. So by the time you guys are seeing this video, you'll probably have already seen the post. But this edge is darker than this edge over here. And this is the edge that they had the issue with. Were those the only issues? Yeah. So the four corners in this. So what does that tell me? That tells me that it had some corner issues. Whoever tried to flatten it out or maybe put some juice on it to kind of fix it. And this card came back altered. It's a real card, but altered. Ricky, do you still have the juice? Do you still use the juice?
I do still have it. I haven't used it in a long time though.
I just heed caution when it comes to that stuff because there's nothing wrong.
You got to be good at it because if they figure it out, then they will do that.
I mean, we've seen like Sports Card Radio cover like Kurt's Card Care, like having a whole submission revoked because he was using the juice on some vintage cards. I mean, vintage collectors don't want their cards altered, whether it gets, even if it doesn't get found and the card goes under the radar. So, I mean, that's definitely a damn shame. It'd be a pain in the butt for me to read this long email. But basically, I tell them, I'm like, listen, I'm hoping, I'm very disappointed, very frustrated. I expected better from Beckett's quality control, considering the lengthy turnaround time and the price point that I paid per card. I would have expected them to be taken care of better. Hopefully I'm not coming off, mad at you, but I'm not. I'm just mad at Beckett itself. Hopefully Beckett can make it right. So, blah, 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 blah. My sales rep said, "Oh, Murph, I'm so sorry this happened. I'll share your feedback with my team. So hopefully we can improve from this. I'd happy to offer you one of two options. Ricky, I want you to tell me if you would take any of these options. A or one. I don't know why I did A, but he did. I can offer you an extra 10% discount on your next submission for this inconvenience. You can include these cards and we can correct these at no charge for you." Okay, not bad. 2, or B, as he stated. I can request a prepaid return label for you from my customer service team. Please note my customer service team is somewhat backed up at the moment, so it may be a couple weeks before I have this label, unfortunately. They're down month over month, year after year, seemingly every month. How is their customer service team backed up to
Right.
print a freaking return label? Um, I don't like either of the options. I'm fuming that those are my options, but at least I have options. And option 3, which is the one I am making, is I tell Beckett to go pound some sand and I'm not going to work with them ever again. So, yeah, I'm very flustered. I'm trying to hold back because I don't want to be screaming and yelling and ruining this episode with just absolute fury and frustration, because we do want to talk about a couple other things. But what option would you take there if you were in my shoes? Would you take the 10% discount and wait another 2.5 months for them to come back? Or would you wait God only knows how long for this return label? Or just say, go pound sand, lack of better words.
Uh, I mean, do you plan on submitting with them again?
I don't
Obviously,
want to. I really, really don't want to. If they provided me with a return label right now, I'd probably put them in the mail and send them back out. The fact that I have to wait for a prepaid return label makes no sense to me.
right.
I mean,
Like
I
that could
closed
be handled in 10 minutes.
easy. You could print it out yourself. Throw it on the
Right.
company card or something. Uh, hold on. I want to bring up the report back up real quick. They are great. They graded 53,000 cards, which is down 17% month over month, down 19% year over year. What is their customer service doing?
Because
Somebody tell me. Let's see. They have, I can only
what
get
customers do they even have at this point?
bingo. Um, is there anything that like, oh, I didn't even go over like the most graded Pokemon or sports. Oh well, but that's the point. That's the point. It's like, you're my sales rep. You're supposed to be my customer service, and you're supposed to take care of this for me. And I even said that in the email. My initial email was like, I want this taken care of, like, promptly. And the fact that it's not going to get taken care of, because if I put it back on the submission free of charge, that's great. But Beckett's turnaround time is 45 business days, which is about 2.5 months. If I send it out right now, Ricky, I'm not getting the submission back until beginning of June.
Right. Basically, the
Right?
finals.
Yep.
NBA finals.
Let's see. April, May. Yeah, end of May, beginning of June. No thanks. And the fact that I got those cards to begin with, how do they? And I tried, Ricky, I tried shaking it back into place, and it doesn't move. It's not moving. So it didn't happen in transit, because if
Right.
the
So
box for
it
FedEx,
didn't ship.
it didn't.
It didn't ship there. It was put there.
Exactly. Someone literally took it, slabbed it. If they have a quality control, they're like, that's good enough. This is something I expect from PSA. So I'm frustrated. I'm pissed off. But yeah, okay. Enough of that. Let's talk about Pokemon, because Pokemon is in a not the best of positions themselves, Ricky. Break it down. What are you seeing from the Pokemon landscape? Because I have a different lens on it, but tell me what you see.
The problem is I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing anything on the shelves at retail. Like the second anything drops, scalpers are right there to buy them up. Like I don't know if it's like all over the country, but supermarket here, Jewel-Osco, at some of
Yep.
their locations, they have a Pokemon vending machine. Get
Yep.
stocked up. Like
Shaw's has that around here.
Who does?
Shaw's.
Okay. Yeah, it gets stocked up every week or so. Scalpers are right there buying it all up as soon as it is.
Like, these
Like
people
I
have
guess
connections. It's crazy.
I was gonna say, I guess some of these distributors and people who fill them up sell their routes, so people know exactly where they're going to be right when they're going to be there. So they can get
Selling
first dibs.
routes. That's crazy.
It's all messed up.
That's so funny. Selling route. I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, I mean, all they're doing is selling people where they're going to be when they are.
So I've seen videos of these vending machines where people they're all masked up with sunglasses, so you can't make out who they are literally just buying the whole thing. And then there's whoever's recording them. I just want a box. Like I just want one booster bundle of whatever.
Right.
And I'm like, and then they're
Yeah.
just asking like, hey, do you even collect? Are you even going to open these? And these guys, buying the whole thing out are just quiet and silent. And it's just like, isn't there anything else you guys can go make money on, or
Right.
anything
Like
else that you
what
guys
happened
can
to
go
the shoe
do?
market? The shoe
Yeah,
market, that's where all these people are coming from.
it's funny. The Funko store that was on the second floor of the old shop plaza. I guess he's now heavy into trading cards now because apparently,
Oh,
oh yeah, right. Oh, apparently the Funko
um,
market is dying, if not dead. For the exception of like grails and like autographs and stuff like that.
right.
Whatever happened to PSA grading Funkos? Like, wasn't that supposed to be like this big thing?
That's
In,
so
in the
stupid. I
collectible
never
market.
understood. I never
I didn't.
understood. Like, are they grading the box? Are they grading the Funko themselves?
I have
Or
no
they
idea.
like
Look, why aren't they grading booster boxes yet? I mean, what's the difference at that point? They should grade
right,
Pokemon
right.
boosters. Um, it's funny. I've had a couple people actually go to the old location thinking that I was there. I was upstairs. Come to find out they're not at Murph's Card Town. Then they come here and they tell me, I'm like, oh well, I'm sorry to hear that. Uh, I'm like, huh. But it's so funny the amount of people that are getting into cards, just cards in general. It's, yeah, you're right. Where is the sneaker community? Because at least Nike is putting out tons of great Jordans and foams and shoes, dunks and all that. What happened to the Funko market? What about the video game? What about the toy market? There is so much other stuff, but people seemingly just want to focus on Pokemon right now, and it is negatively impacting not only the hobby, but the community, the collectors, the enthusiasts, people who just want to open a cool set because Prismatic is a cool set. It just happens to have a $1,500 card in it, ungraded. So it's become very, very toxic, especially with the videos you're seeing online. People just buying out all this stuff just to go sell it somewhere else. It's a travesty. It is absolutely, and I'm even struggling keeping stuff stocked here on the shelf. So it's affecting everybody, not just people looking to buy stuff, at retail. Uh, can it
Right,
change?
right.
Will it change? Do we think?
What's up?
Do you think it'll change?
Once it cools down, probably. If it cools down. I mean,
It's a
I'm
big
starting to see the value of my binder slowly but surely come down to earth.
fire
Which
sale.
kind of, but I don't know if the hype is dying down or what, but
Where did the hype come from? Like I can kind of pinpoint it to Surging Sparks with the Pikachu. That was when that was released, like that the images and such and the leaks for that. People really got interested in that, even though I think that Pikachu is overrated. But then Prismatic Evolutions was rumored, and then it was announced, and then it's like, oh my god, we're gonna get SARs or all these EVs. And when that announcement hit, things just fell off the rails then. And now it's Pokemon does have great sets coming out, fan favorite sets that people are looking forward to. But even then, it's just like, all right, how much longer can these Pokemon people, whether they're collectors or not, or they're just going to vending machines and buying them out, how long can they do this for? Like,
right.
don't they work a real job? Don't they actually have like things to go do? But I think that kind of buzz and hype is dying down a little bit slowly, but it's going to take a while for things to kind of recoup and kind of get back to, let's call it, normal.
Like at this point, I'd be happy finding a prismatic binder on the shelves.
How about a 2-pack blister? How about that?
That's what I'm saying. Like something, give me something.
It's
Like
and
I'm about to go to Target and just lift open those shelves on the bottom, see if anyone's
yeah.
hiding anything.
I mean, you might as well should you just never know. And like these, big box stores, they're not doing anything to kind of help, people get stuff. I mean, they're just throwing it out there. Buy whatever you want. Buy the whole thing. It doesn't matter to us.
They don't care. You're gonna sell it.
Nope.
Why should they worry about who gets how many and
I love I don't know if we talked about this before or not. Maybe we did. I love how people look at the Pokemon market right now. So beforehand, if I'm going to use Shroud of Fable for example, because this is the perfect example, that ETB retails MSRP for $49.99. Okay. That's what I sell it for. Well, I sold it for until I finally sold out of them. And then when that dropped, because the market goes up and down, and when that dropped to like a $35, $40 ETB, nobody wanted it. But people would always mention, like, oh, the market on it's $40. Market's on at $40. Like, okay, so we're focusing on the market, right? So let me ask you this, Ricky. When the Prismatic Evolutions Elite Trainer box retails for $49.99, right? But I got scolded for having the Shroud of Fable at retail. But I should have had the Shroud of Fable ETB at market, but when I have the Prismatic Evolutions ETB at market, it's a problem.
Right,
Do
right.
you see where I'm going with this? Is when a product is retail and I have it for retail, though the market is less, I'm the bad guy. So when I have a product for market, though the market's higher than retail, I am still the bad guy. It's absolutely messed up and twisted because people obviously want whatever price is going to cater best to them. You know, people clamor, "Oh, you should be at market. You should be at market," especially when it comes to like booster boxes, like on TCG player, or I should say, yeah, booster boxes on TCG player. Like, you know, they're probably going to be the cheapest you're going to find around. Like, oh, so why aren't you at $200 on this booster box? Well, go buy it for $200 then. You know, I have it for a little bit higher because I find other
Right.
sources that have it for higher. But when it comes to Prismatic or any of these retail products, is if I'm at retail but the market is less, I'm still the bad guy. But when I'm at market, although retail is less, I'm still a bad guy. So it's a lose lose situation. So I ask people, all right, do you want things priced at market or do you want things priced at retail? And let's not, play the game of depending on what product it is. Let's just kind of have a general consensus here. Do we want things priced at market or do we want things priced at retail? And some people have extremely frustrated me throughout this whole Prismatic and Blooming Waters releases. So I can't wait till hopefully the summertime it's really corrected.
Well, summertime is when what? Journey to is coming, Team Rocket's coming out.
Journey Together comes out the end of this month. Was it the 28th, I think? Then you got I don't know the order
Yeah,
of any of it. Got the Team
I'm
Rocket
not,
set, Destined Rivals, I think.
I'm not even sniffing that booster box.
Comes with a promo.
I want it. I want it, but I ain't
The
gonna
fa-
see it.
the fact that people were buying that booster box for $300 when it was first announced, I think now it's kind of cooled down to about $200. Which again, I mean, booster boxes, even an example, they have an MSRP price technically of $164. Imagine 6 months ago finding I'm just trying to think of a cruddy was a cruddy set. Like, okay, so like
Scarlet
Scarlet and
Violet.
Violet, perfect example. That market price was anywhere from like 100, maybe a little less to about 120, anywhere in that range. But the MSRP price for that box is $164. So am I supposed to be again, do we want market prices or do we want retail prices? It doesn't
Right.
depend on the product. You pick. If we want retail, like, okay, well, let's go with $164. Oh, but it's higher than market. Like, all right, well, let's go with market. So pay $150 for a Prismatic ETB. It
Right.
goes both ways. Um, but I
See,
just
that's the thing. People say they could buy stuff for cheaper, and it's like, go ahead. But then
I'm not
they
stopping
want
anyone.
it right. They want it right then and there. So if you want it right now, you got to pay a little premium. That's just how it works.
I've noticed that collectors, even through all of this, the collectors that are still into Pokemon will still buy it at whether it's market prices. I mean, I try to stay just a smidge under market. Um, but they'll still buy the product because they still want it. They want to enjoy it and they don't care about the current landscape of the Pokemon industry. And to me, they're the ones that are like, to me, how I look at them is like, wow, you guys are true collectors. You're passionate and you're in it for the long haul. Long haul. Because I've seen a lot of people fall out of it. I mean, 6 months ago, we were talking about, wow, Pokemon is so much better than sports cards right now. We're starting to see sports people go to Pokemon. Well, now we're starting to see those Pokemon people go back to sports because they can't do anything with Pokemon cards.
Right.
Whereas, sports cards, though it's kind of a quiet time for sports ultimately, but there's product available. Cards aren't super expensive, considered, compared to Pokemon. So
Like
it can.
last time I went to Target, there was zero evidence of Pokemon being on shelves, ever being on shelves. But the shelf was full of Prism.
Yeah,
I wasn't.
it's crazy.
I don't really rip football anymore, but like I was tempted just for something to rip.
Yep. Yep. It's crazy the dramatic shift, multiple shifts. Because again, sports was super heavy, then they would transition to Pokemon. Now, people are going from Pokemon to sports. So we've seen a couple shifts here. And I'm all for people dabbling with a little bit of everything, kind of being back and forth on whatever they want to collect and buy at the time. But like, let's just keep the toxicity out of it. I want people to bounce back and forth for the fun of it, not because their hands are forced. Like, again, around here, so many Pokemon people are getting into sports, whatever their favorite sport is, because Pokemon's too expensive for them, or there's just nothing on the market for them that they want to buy. Things are just too expensive. And I'm like, I don't blame you at all. You want to rip, you want to enjoy cardboard and cards, and Pokemon is just not doing it for you. I totally understand. Here comes sports cards saving the day. Imagine saying that a couple months, 6 months
Right?
ago. Absolutely nuts. But I'm hoping, Ricky, by the time the national rolls around, I'm hoping by the time Fanatics Fest rolls around, that
Oh, I'm so
sports
excited for that.
continues to be in a much better place. Because I think currently, right now, it's in a pretty good space. And I'm hoping, I don't expect a lot of Pokemon at Fanatics Fest, but if there is, I'm hoping the market then is a lot better. But I'm hoping that toxicity of Pokemon doesn't transfer to sports come Fanatics Fest. Kind of
Well,
hoping it just levels out.
do you think if the market is better, meaning I'm assuming you meaning like more accessible, more affordable, whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Um, do you think people will even bother bringing them to Fanatics Fest just because the money isn't all there anymore, and that's why a lot of people are in it?
Well, they've already bought it, and they need it, and they're paying so much for the booth anyway, so then they got to fill their booth with something to sell.
Right,
Um,
right,
so they can't just sit on it, and let the market, fall down even further than it might already come to that point. Like you said even earlier, you're noticing the cards in your binder that are going down in price. So I mean, if there was a show this weekend that you were setting up at, you're probably going to bring those cards with you to try to sell now to maximize as much
right,
profit on it before. And if you wait 2 more months, your binder could be down another 20%, 30, 40%. Who knows? Because the prices of these cards should never have been the prices that they've gotten to. Just like with sports cards and sports boxes a couple years ago in 21, 22. Prism football hobbies should never have been $2,000. But people see that the Prism hobbies are going for 1,000. They're like, wow, it's so overpriced. Oh, it's down 50% and pretty
right,
good. So I just hate seeing people. I mean, maybe it's just because I'm a nice guy and I truly like the hobby. I hate seeing people tag something for what they bought it for so they can break even on it, although they're 20% over market. Like, it's your card, price it for whatever you want, but don't expect to
right,
sell it, and don't be mad when you don't, or don't be mad when someone offers you a different price because you're overpriced. In the market is this.
right.
So I
Like sometimes I'm guilty of it too, but like people want to overcharge others because, like you said, they're losing on the, so they want to
mhm.
minimize their losses. But it's like sometimes you just have to take the L.
I tell people this all the time, especially when people come to me at the show, and I'm set up at a show, and we can actually transition to EC3 actually after this. People would bring something to me. Let's just say the market's $100, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm looking for around 150, 160 on it. That's kind of what I paid." And I'm like, respectfully, I don't care what you paid. I could
Right.
give two
Like
flying F's what you paid. You could have
I'm
paid a
not.
dollar.
I'm not responsible to cover your losses. You are.
Exactly. You could have paid a dollar for it. You could have paid $1,000 for it. Does not matter to me at all. And it's just like, again, they're your cards. You can ask whatever you want. And it just baffles me the amount of, I mean, that's why so many people left sports cards to begin with, is because their $1,000 investments from Jeff Wilson are now $100. And it's just like people are sick of all these losses that they are taking. But, People
Well,
are always going to continue to take losses, but you got to make sure that you win more than you lose, and you'll be okay.
I want to just pull in this real quick. It's funny that you bring up Jeff Wilson.
Ruh-roh.
No, I would say because I posted on my story yesterday that I can't wait. Like this is the time of year where all these influencers hype up these terrible QBs and QB battles,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
like how Daniel Jones is now in the Colts, so it's going to be a QB battle with
I've had
Anthony Richardson. It's like it's two terrible QBs battling. Oh, first of all, second of all, we're going to hear all summer. Oh, this is hot right now. The Colts are on the rise. Blah blah blah. Buy
Mhm.
AR. He's going to be the QB
Yeah.
one, or buy
Yep.
Daniel Jones. He's going to be QB one. The Colts are a good young team. Blah blah blah
He's in
blah.
a better situation with a better offensive line,
They're
yeah.
sleepers. They're sleepers.
I had
If
2
you
Mac
buy if
Jones
you buy them
cards
now, the
sell.
investment's going to go way up.
I woke up this morning and I had 2 Mac Jones cards sell, and I'm like, "Huh? What?" And then I go look and they signed the 49ers signed him. I'm like, well, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, that's actually a good signing for the 49ers to back up
I didn't know
Purdy.
that. I didn't see
Me,
that.
me neither until I found out. It's just, dude, it's rinse and repeat. How about the whole Josh Dobbs mania a couple years ago? And now he's the backup for the Patriots. And it's just like,
Yeah,
what?
I didn't see that.
People just get so excited for nothing. If you're sitting on these cards, right, and now is the time for you finally to be able to sell them because or Josh Dobbs, for instance, back when that thing blew up. Oh wow, I've had a Josh Dobbs card sitting that I can't sell because nobody wants it in the dollar bin. Throw it up on eBay for whatever the market is, and it sells because you're gonna find a sucker out there to buy into the hype and to buy into the excitement, and then they're gonna lose, and then they're gonna try to have to sell the card to somebody else, be like, "Oh, I paid 20 for it, and I need to get 20 for it, so I don't lose on it." Though the market's now back down to 5. It's just a constant cycle. Not come August, that cycle starts always, and it is so effing annoying, Ricky. You're so right. This is the time of year that influencers kind of start building up that hype. Desmond Ritter could sign with a team
Oh
and
my
compete for
god.
a starting quarterback spot, and people are going to be like buying Desmond Ritter, need Desmond Ritter cards, and they're going to try to pump up and inflate that market.
Sam Howell, Will Levis.
How about Sam Darnold this past year? Everyone's going crazy over Sam Darnold. When was the last time before this past year that anybody wanted a Sam Darnold card? Not even when he was drafted, people wanted Sam Darnold cards. That's an exaggeration, but you see my point. Again, there's just influencers inflate it, suckers buy it, and then they're the ones with their tail between their legs because they can't sell it because they sit on it for too long. Because this is an investment. I was told this is an investment, Ricky. He's supposed to win the MVP. He's supposed to win the Super Bowl. He's supposed to
I
10x
bought I
my
bought
investment.
I bought this for $2,000. What do you mean it's only worth 150 now?
Yeah, 70% of that's what you're offering me 70% of 150. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, come on, that's a crazy low number. That's a stupid offer. And then where I'm the bad guy. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you paid
Right.
$2,000." I mean, how about Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones? I mean, can you pick it? We can do this all effing day. Oh, the blood's pumping, Ricky. The blood is pumping. Okay.
Yeah, like I've said before, they're not going to sell you. They're not going to hype someone up who they're not selling. If they're telling you to buy one, it's because they're trying to sell them.
That's just how. I mean, who's it going to be this year? I mean, I feel like every year going to the National, there's always like 2 quarterbacks everyone's buying. Last year was it Richardson and Stroud? I think it was. Was it going to be Bryce Young and
Jaden Daniels,
Jaden Daniels probably this year?
Caleb
And like,
Williams.
oh, good God. I mean, how about talking about the? I know we were gonna kind of dive into some the EC3, but what about like this whole Wemby thing? I haven't noticed, and I'm thankful, a dip at all in Wemby cards. The
Really?
hype, I personally haven't. I'm not checking eBay every day, and every day you check, it could be up and down. But I'd say that they're kind of stable, and I think that's a great thing, obviously. But secondly, if it did dip and drop, how would that make this hobby look? I don't want to say one little injury, but one injury, and they completely jumped ship, and they completely said, "Oh, these investments are over. Oh, time to abandon ship," because he gets one injury, And how stupid would that make these investors look when they're needing or wanting to sell the crown jewel of basketball investing, Victor Wembanyama, after one injury?
Yeah, the
I
guy who
mean,
had a whole set made for him.
yep, a whole set. And the fact that we haven't seen that plummet when Zion got injured, tank. Ja got injured, tank. LaMelo, tank. These are all generational talents, the best of the best. Oh, these are big investments. And every time they got injured or arrested, they would tank. And and the fact that Wemby hasn't to that degree is great, but I think we finally found a player in Wemby that no matter what happens, unless they go to jail, unless he goes to jail, they're not going to fire sale their cards because they would look so stupid. Imagine whoever Jeff Wilson pumps up Wemby to the moon and he's like, "Oh, I got to sell him now. You know, he's injured. He's not going to be the same." It's the amount of people who need to sell a top tier player when they get injured, baffling. Absolutely baffling. We see it all the time. Jaden Daniels, hopefully, but he could hurt himself week one. And then you're going to see Sunday night on Facebook and in groups. I need to sell all these cards, and they're all Jaden Daniel cards.
Find whoever his backup is.
Yep. I'm buying. I couldn't even tell you who his backup is. Buying Josh Dobbs. I'm buying Kenny Pickett. Oh, yeah, I'm buying Desmond Ritter. That's the new guy is the backup. Which there is a market for backup, but it's inflationary and it's all hype. All hype.
All speculation, and it kind of sucks because you're betting on someone getting an injury too.
Mm-hmm. And the people that buy the backup, they're like, oh, I can't wait for them to get on the field because of this injury, and they're gonna play great. Oh, I hope the player never comes back from injury, so my guy keeps playing and his value goes up. I'm like, that's not how it should work.
Right.
If something freaky happens, then fine. I mean, look how many times when people pass away, the market goes crazy. Oh, I'm buying Ricky Henderson. I'm buying Pete Rose. I'm buying Bill Russell. You know, when they
Kobe.
pass away. Who?
Kobe.
I'm buying Kobe. Oh, all of a sudden you're buying Kobe because he had a horrific accident. Oh, I need to sell my card. I need to sell Kobe cards. I need to sell this card. I need to sell that card. It's like, oh, good God. Absolutely drives a pin. Whatever. It doesn't matter. All right, EC3. EC3 con. Ricky, you weren't able to go. Very unfortunate. But hindsight's 2020 because I walked the show floor a couple times, and I'll admit it. And this is nothing against Scott, nothing against EC3 itself. It was not enjoyable walking the floor. For me, if you're just a collector or somebody who doesn't mind paying 90, 95, 100% because you want a card and you want to have a fun time, walk around, hang out with people, you're going to have a blast. You always, always will. But for me, in my position, who I'd like to think understands the market a little bit, everything was overpriced.
Yeah.
Everything. The market's at 150. All the prices were at 180 because these vendors were bracing, having a price brace for market growth on the other end. You know, it's 150% today. If I sell it today for 180, that's okay because it'll cover that extra bump that it's going to see in the next week or two. Completely ass backwards. I mean, how many Lugia alt-arts did I see for over $400? I didn't see not one for under $400. Not one. In the market, I think at the time was like 350, 360, 75, give or take in that area at the time. I don't know what it is now, but
I I
um,
I regret selling mine. Not even just because it's like double the price now, but just because I miss mine. My PSA 10.
I got two of them sitting pretty over there. Actually, can you see them? No, because that's sports.
No, I can't. I have my Silver Tempest booster box that I'm not
Maybe
gonna
there's
rip,
one in
but
there.
I just know one's in there.
So it's just, I mean, I haven't been to too many card shows lately to kind of give a full consensus of the market at card shows. But just speaking on EC3, a fairly bigger region, I mean, it's like 200 plus tables. Well, now it is like 220, I think. Regional show. It's you typing. I can hear something
No,
typing. Oh, it's absolutely insane. The market at shows. And I, in early morning setup, I ask people all the time, I'm like, is card shows the best place to buy? And it depends on what end of the table you're on, but vendors are even starting to say no because the people walking around are like, oh, like, I know the market's insane right now and I don't have to sell it, but if you
Right.
want it, I'll sell it for 92%. It's like, well, that doesn't do me no good. It's tough. It's a tough world out there. Card shows, cards. It just it all depends. And I'm really fearful for the national because we see this all the time. The prices at the national are always through the roof. But
Hmm.
there are deals to find, and you gotta find them, whether that's through bargain boxes, like, graded boxes, talking to the vendor, maybe the vendor, whatever it may be. You gotta buy in bulk to get a better deal. Vendors, they don't need to bend over backwards to sell you a card at 70% for one card. But if you're giving them, like, a couple $1,000 or you're buying 30 cards, then, yeah, they'll probably do you a favor,
Well,
especially in the
even
world of repackers.
repackers. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, no, like even at the nationals and big shows like that, there's people who are sitting down in the lobby with all their cards in front of them. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I mean, I remember,
It's like their own little makeshift booth.
I'll never
But
forget, it was the Chicago one, not to cut you off. I was walking around and I'm videoing people set up, and I remember hearing from one of the kids or people, whoever was set up, um, somebody offered them, I don't know, just say $80 for the card, and they were asking 100, and they were like, "Sorry, I gotta be at 100." And I didn't really hear it fully, but it's probably the way I'm trained to think. I'm thinking they're saying that they need to be at 100 to cover their table fees, though they're not set
right,
up as a vendor.
right.
And I'm like, why do you need to be at 80? Do you want to be at 80? That's totally fine if you want to be at, but why do you need to be at 80? And then I just kept walking away.
Oh, margins, percentage,
Gotta cover
margins,
my overhead.
margins, margins. I don't buy. I have to buy it this. I have to sell it that. Shut up.
Yeah, you tell them. Tell them. So I think Fanatics Fest is really going to be an indicator of what we could expect at the national. And there's like
Mhm.
a month plus 5 weeks, I think, in between. So we're really gonna kind of get a good idea. And I'm looking forward to Fanatics Fest. I know you're gonna be there with me for a couple days. Uh, I think we're really gonna have our eyes opened one way or the other, for good or bad. We're like, wow, the hobby's actually in a great spot right now once you get to a national level. Or, oh my God, this is happening everywhere. Oh, this is terrible. Oh my God, that
Right.
card's $300. It was 100 2 months ago. Something like that. Oh,
I-
sorry, go ahead.
I'm just wondering if I'm going to be back into sports by then. Because right
Why?
now I'm just buying for people. Like I'm just buying up all James Wood base cards from 2025 for $2.
Grade them.
That's,
Sell them for
that's
25.
really all I'm buying right now. There's like there was 1.3 million copies of each base card. I'm trying to own 1% of that, which
You can
is
corner the market, baby. Corner the market.
1% of that would be 13,000,
You
which is
you could
crazy.
get there. That's not, I mean, I don't know if you want to put $26,000 worth into James Wood base cards, but um,
No,
definitely obtainable.
I have like 10 right now, so I have about 0.0001% of the market.
Yeah, if that. No, it's it's I don't know. I love when a new set comes out because people like really overhype it, but then when the next set comes out, they completely forget. Like with Pokemon, perfect example. Surging Sparks came out. But Stellar Crown was a thing of the past. Then, I mean, not that Prismatic is a core set, but when Prismatic came out, nobody cared about the Surging Sparks. And when Journey
Right.
Together comes out, I'm curious to see how many people will care about Prismatic and Blooming Waters for that matter when Journey Together comes out. Or maybe Journey Together just kind of falls flat on his face. Who knows? But kind of
Is,
going.
is, is Booming Waters considered its own thing, or is it just 151?
So I they didn't necessarily announce a quote unquote reprint for 151 with Blooming Waters. they're making it seem like Blooming Waters is its own set, but it's all just 151 packs. Who
Right.
knows where these packs came from or how they came about? But I don't know. It's weird. I mean, I guess technically it's a reprint, though they never fully came out and said that it was. But that's just kind of how it's perceived as, because there's no new cards, there's no new packs, no new sets, no nothing. Well, except the Jumbo Blastoise. That's the only new thing about it. So I mean, it's a reissue of a previous set. Let's call it.
Okay.
Just making something up. But yeah, I mean, kind of going back to Fanatics Fest, and it'll be really interesting to see kind of the nature of the market come then. How does Pokemon look if it's there? How does sports look? I mean, we heard a lot of great things about Fanatics Fest, when it ran last year. So it'll definitely be interesting to see. Maybe it's just a regional thing that the market, at least around here, the market's not in a good spot. Maybe around you, the market's not in a good spot. But the chances are the good people are going to come together to one place, and maybe we can have a little bit of health in the hobby for that weekend. But
Right.
we'll see. We will see. I'm trying to think. I think we talked about everything that we needed to talk about. Did we miss anything? QB? No. I think we got everything. Even though we missed a week, or I guess we missed an episode, we still had a really good conversation today. We talked about a bunch of different things. We were kind of all over the place, but of course we were talking about important topics that the hobby is currently facing right now, whether that's the current landscape of the Pokemon market, maybe that's just, the current nature of card shows. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. When you're at the National, you should buy collections, like buy a whole box or a whole binder or something, and then break it down and grade some of it. That's what I was going to say.
I don't know. I have to figure out what I want to do with my binder. I don't know if I want to cherry pick the gradable cards and then sell the rest, or just sell everything together, or just sell it all.
You should, I'm going to forget before I write this down. Hold on. You should blindly grade the whole thing. Just blindly grade the whole thing and see what happens. See how many 10s, 9s, 6.5s you get.
4s, apparently.
Yeah, you just never know.
Don't know how I missed that still.
But you never know. But I mean, yeah, and that's the glory about grading, I would say, is you turn dead inventory into fresh new inventory.
Right.
Because, and I've said this in another video, I think actually in the CGC submission reveal video that I made, is I got this ungraded card sitting for a month, sitting for 2 months that no one's wanted, whatever. It looks good. Oh, sure, I'll send it out. Now it's a 10, it's a 9, whatever. And now it looks brand new. Oh, wow, that's a new card. That looks really cool, though it's technically really not. But what I wanted to mention real quick before we kind of get to our final outgoing takes here is the Drowsy market. Yeah. So hold on. So for a little bit of context, people, when that card first came out, Scarlet and Violet base, that was March of 22, I believe. That was about a $6 to $7, $8, $10 card, give or take. Ricky, why do you still have that? That card should have been gone 2 months ago. And then overnight, like a month or two ago, that card goes from $8 to 20 to 50 to 90 to 100, I think it was at one point. And then someone sent me a video of the Drowsy card just back down to 40, 45-ish. Do not buy the hype. It is inflationary. It is not real.
I got caught.
How much did you buy it for?
I bought it for 70.
Dude, no. Well, okay, why'd you buy it?
At that time, it was a good deal.
What was it at? What was the market at that point?
85, 90.
Honestly, so perfect example. This is a perfect example of what people should do in Ricky's shoes. You buy a card for X. It is no longer it's worth X minus 25%. So what you should do is, if it's obviously gradable, is send it out to get graded. I'm sure the market of that card in a 10 is probably still decently
it's
up
still
there.
Pretty up there.
What's the card number on that? Drowsy. If I can spell that.
210.
Okay, so I mean, in a 10, it's still about a $600, $700 card. So, perfect example is as it currently is right now, Ricky is currently in a losing position based on what he sold it for compared to what it is currently going for, or what he bought it for compared to what it's going for. So he doesn't look like a fool and be like, "Oh, I need to get $70. I need to get $80 so I don't take a loss on it." Though the market's now back down to $40, $50 on it, he can grade it, hope it comes back a 10, maybe even a 9, and still try to recoup some of that value, or at the very least, completely recreate that card's value by it being graded. That would be the
Right.
smart thing to do. But some people don't want to go through the legwork of grading, da 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 da, whatever, whatever. Doesn't matter. But if you don't want to put in work in, that is totally fine. But I think Ricky, in his situation, is what a lot of people find themselves in, just based on the nature of how the market kind of goes up and down. But that is how you kind of react to a card that you buy that doesn't have that value that you bought, even though you got a great deal on it at the time. So I'm sorry. Send it out to get graded.
Yeah,
And then
I probably will.
therefore you'll have some fresh inventory of slabs to kind of attack the next show with, and then you can kind of go from there.
Yeah,
Or
I
put
have
the
a
list on
bunch of
eBay.
these cheap V's and X's.
What is it?
The cheap, like $2 full art cards, the V's.
Oh, even getting those graded, coming back as
Like
10s are
I'll
like
probably
$30, $40.
I'll probably do FGC on these. I have more that I have to sleeve up, but
Did you say SGC?
sorry, CGC,
I
CGC.
was gonna say, but no, those like $2 full arts. First of all, they're like, now like $3, $4, $5 full arts at this point with the market. But they're the perfect example. If they come back 10s, 30, 40, 50, $60, sometimes higher, maybe a little lower on, depending on the card. And you pay, because I know you got the membership. It's like what, $15, $16 for Pokemon. Not a bad, kind of way to kind of recirculate your inventory to hopefully put you in a position to make a few bucks off of cards that are just sitting in a deck box.
Right.
Well, we discussed a bunch today, Ricky. Where are we going to go with our outgoing takes today?
We're still buying James Wood.
Okay. I
Hmm.
like that. We will buy James Wood until that man dies. And even then, we're still buying.
My outgoing take would be don't give in to that itch of wanting to rip something and then just buying something random on the shelves just because you want to rip something. If
Seems
like
like a personal
don't
experience.
yeah, well, my personal experience traveling 3 hours just to get
Oh,
sacks.
good God. That was a funny story.
Anyways,
That was a funny. Okay.
yeah, I hopped on a train to go to Northern Illinois to meet up with this dude who I didn't even know at the time. Luckily it all went well.
Yeah.
Um, because nice dude, very nice guy. He beat the scalpers at a Target, cleared off the shelves, and like sold everything for basically retail or like a quarter or 50 cents above it.
But how did he know that he wasn't selling to scalpers themselves? Like, how do you know that you weren't a scalper? Or how did he prevent you from just going to sell it for $10 a pack?
If you want to take advantage of a good guy, then that's on you. That's not on
Yeah.
him. He was doing the right thing. He was
Yeah.
being a good person.
I
So
like that.
if you want to take advantage of him, that's on you. But
People would.
yeah, exactly. And it sucks, but he's doing the right thing.
No, I completely agree. No, that's yeah, a good guy. You don't find a lot of people like that, especially
Right.
these days in the
So
Pokemon market. Was that your outgoing take?
right. Yeah, I think it is.
I think that little good story is a good outgoing take there. Be good in this hobby. I think that's
Right.
my takeaway. And
Be that guy.
be that guy.
That
Be willing to
that
travel
people
3
want
hours.
to travel 3 hours to do a deal with you.
I don't even know what my outgoing take would be. Stop buying the hype. don't buy the hype, whether it's quarterback battles, whether it's drowsies, whether it's um, stupid PSAs, because we're seeing that market absolutely tank. I don't want to say tank, but we're starting to see competitors rival PSA sales, and I think it's really exciting because I mean, there shouldn't if you want something, just go buy it at that point, but don't buy it because investors tell you or oh, the market's only going to go up. What are the real chances the market goes up? Um, Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but as long as you're winning more than you're losing, I guess you'll be fine. Just don't be the person down the road like, oh, I bought it for this, I need to sell it for that so I don't lose money, and you look like a fool. Just have fun. Don't buy the hype. Buy what you like. Have fun while you're doing it. And I think with this hobby can quickly change to be in a better spot. Also, one other quick takeaway. I know I'm going to kind of bend the rules and give myself two. Stop buying from the scalpers. If no one buys from scalpers, they're just going to sit on the product and they can't sell it and they can't make money. And they're just going to be wasting all that money for nothing because they could care less about Pokemon because they're not going to rip it. So
And they'll go back to sneakers.
They'll go back to something else, whatever is in at the time. If just the whole collective Pokemon community, whether that's locally or online, stops buying from scalpers, stop meeting up Facebook deals or stop buying them, with PayPal goods and services, they will stop buying it. Because if you're just buying from the guy who's sucking out the vending machine, what is he going to do with all that stuff? He can't return it. And, Target doesn't accept returns on things. And yeah, so just stop buying from scalpers. Just wait out the storm. It will get better. Slowly, hopefully, will get better. There's my
If you
outgoing
want
takes.
to actually collect something, you can wait.
Exactly. Yes. If you're a true collector, the card will always be there, or the product. If you're a sealed collector, I don't want to say will always be there, but it will be there at some point. Promise you. Promise you. We got to get rid of the scalpers. But yeah, that will wrap it up for today's episode. Fantastic episode, Ricky. I mean, 70 minutes or 80 minutes rather. Crazy episode. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for joining us in our epic episode today. We do apologize for missing a week. We will make sure that we get back on schedule. So, Ricky, I'm going to pull up the calendar right now. 27th is when our next episode has to come out. So let's mark it all down, guys. Let's set a reminder. March 27th, we'll be able to talk maybe some draft, maybe some football, maybe the Pokemon market. It'll be very, very exciting come then. But thank you so much. Please make sure you like the video, comment down below anything, your comments, questions, concerns, anything you want to kind of rebuttal or kind of pick up on. We'd love to have a conversation down in the comment section below. Again, please subscribe to the channel and also check out the channel membership program. I'm going to put the next video over Ricky's face. Click on that one if you want to continue your hobby endeavors, but we'll see you in the next one. Peace out, guys.